Oh, how good does that feel, Villains? 3 goals, 3 points. We are well and truly up and running. Finally, it feels like Aston Villa's season has begun. 2 wins in a week, Thursday night victory in the Europa League, Premier League victory on the Sunday. Waking up today, the world just feels a much brighter place, doesn't it? And it was that second half blitz, start of that second half where Villa just ripped Fulham apart and sealed the 3 points, really. So we're going to cover the talking points from yesterday's action, and then a little look ahead at Thursday's trip to Feyenoord, a trip back to Rotterdam. But let's talk about yesterday first. What a massive win it was, and a much better performance by Villa. By no means, I'm gonna say we're back. I'm gonna get overexcited, and I'm gonna tell everyone we're coming for everything. But it wasn't a stellar Villa performance, but it was much better, and a little bit clunky at times. The passing, not as crisp, not as clean as we have seen over past seasons or past Unai Emery performances, but it was much better. And obviously the goals flowing again. Ollie Watkins getting himself off the mark is just so crucial. And a better performance from Morgan Rogers. By no means is he back to his best, but it was a better, more inspiring performance from him for sure. The game started off like a nightmare, really, with Raul Jimenez scoring in the third minute of the game. First corner, I think it was first shot on target from Fulham. Well, it must have been third minute in. So that dreaded stat returned. Villa conceding from the first shot on target. But, sloppy by Villa. Was there a foul on McGinn? Possibly. I think it was Sander Berger, was it, that wrestled McGinn down to the ground. Would he, or could he have affected play? Could he have stopped that header? I'm not quite sure. I'd probably have to watch it again. I have seen it back, but I'd probably have to watch it again to give a real accurate description on that. For me, it's one of them, isn't it? If it was the other way around, I probably would have been disappointed if it was ruled out. So I'm not going to complain too much. And we got the 3 points, so of course it's not going to keep me up at night. But there was a few, I personally wouldn't say contentious decisions in there, but Marco Silva certainly was crying himself to sleep last night, as he tends to do, doesn't he, sometimes? He's quite a moody, moany manager, isn't he? After a few games, but I don't know why he's surprised. Villa turned Fulham over pretty much every time we play them, so maybe you should have a little of a closer look at his team and what he can do better to actually get his side to turn up at Villa Park. That dive from Josh King, I think his name is, it was a clear dive. Was there contact? Yes, because he initiated it. He ran into Martinez. He kicked the ball in one complete other direction, ran straight into Emi Martinez. He had no intention of trying to go towards the ball. He was just looking for a penalty, and he was on his way down before there was any contact. The referee got that spot on. I can't believe some of the meltdown I've seen on social media about that. It was never a penalty. It was a dive, and I think he was booked last week for diving as well. He needs to take a look at himself, and his manager probably needs to have a word with him and tell him to stay on his feet and maybe back yourself to score instead of falling down to the ground every time you get into the box. Definitely not a penalty there. We're not quite going in chronological order in the game, but we'll talk about the other penalty incident as we're on the subject that Silva was moaning about, and the Fulham fans, the few of them that made the trip, is the Matty Cash handball. Again, just how are people saying it's a handball? He was sliding one direction. How is he supposed to predict that the guy is going to shoot coming back on himself and put his hand out there? He was facing the other way. It's crazy. There's obviously no intention behind that. I think people that think it was a penalty have obviously never played football before. You can't just dive into tackles with your hands down by your side. It's just daft. Just not a penalty and not a talking point. I know Sky Sports tried to make it as much of a talking point as possible. Jamie Redknapp saying that the Josh King was a stonewall penalty. God, some of his opinions are just tragic. I'm glad I wasn't watching on Sky Sports yesterday. I was at the game because I don't think I could listen to his punditry. Just not a talking point. Neither of them penalties for me. I think the most contentious one was the John McGinn getting taken down for the corner. But again, I'm not really going to moan too much about that. But ultimately, people will say, oh, you're biased, you're going to back Villa. Of course, but for me, there's no real talking points from those penalties other than Fulham fans moaning and a lot of neutral fans. And like I say, of course, a few pundits that were very quiet last week on Morgan Rogers getting absolutely cleaned out by that Sunderland defender. That was a shocking challenge. and people weren't really even complaining about it. I mean, that was a straight red. But yeah, that's last week. But Villa season, like I say, is finally up and running. And once Villa got back into the game, I think there was only ever really going to be one winner from there. And it was Ollie Watkins with that looped finish, wasn't it? I mean, I can't remember the last time I've seen a ball go so high up in the air and land in the back of the net. Did he mean it? People are saying, did he mean it? I think he obviously did intend to chip it over the goalkeeper. I think he got a bit more on it than what he probably intended. I think he definitely got a bit too much of a contact on it. I'm not sure if I'm rightly remembering. I feel like it came off his shin a little bit and looped a little bit higher. I'm not sure he made the best connection, but listen, it went in the back of the net. It was he got it over him. It looked a good looped finish in the end. So him getting off the mark is so crucial. And it was a better performance, especially once that goal went in from him. He had an impact in the Buendia goal as well, didn't he? Did he? Or was that Rodgers? I'm not 100% sure, but he was just more involved. He looked more like his old self again, busier, getting around the pitch, holding the ball up. It was better once that goal went in, definitely. And I think it just shows confidence is everything, isn't it? And once Villa got that goal, I mean, particularly in the second half, especially once John McGinn's goal went in, the confidence started to flow through Aston Villa again. And like I say, there was only going to be one winner, but we've got to talk about that John McGinn strike. His second stunning strike of the week, I've got to say. I mean, the one against Bologna was a brilliant goal. The way he just passed it into that corner in front of the North Stand. I thought that was a terrific finish. Really, probably an underrated goal. The way he just placed it, I thought was brilliant, because usually, we're quite accustomed to John McGinn hitting them, smashing them, maybe lashing at them sometimes, but he really placed that one into the bottom corner. But yesterday's, I thought, was even better. I mean, as soon as he picked that ball up, I think all of us inside Villa Park were urging him to shoot, and I just felt like he was going to score. I just think, and as soon as he picked that ball up, I thought, this is landed in the back of the net. And a real captain's performance from him, and he really took the game by the scruff of the neck. And this week by the scruff of the neck, and he's dragged Aston Villa to 2 victories, and just what a man. I just absolutely love John McGinn. Probably my favourite Villa player in my lifetime. I think he epitomises everything you want in a player for your club, isn't he? Just works hard, just gives everything for the shirt, and great quality as well. I mean, the way he holds up the ball and twists and turns is just incredible at times. And we heard Calvin Bassey last season saying he holds off the world. And he got an experience of that again yesterday, didn't he? He was brilliant. I think we see him go off a lot because he puts so much into it. He burns himself out with 20, 30 minutes left. So, yeah, real big performance, big week from John McGinn. And I mean, the end goal, the dream is to see John McGinn lift the trophy for Aston Villa, isn't it? I mean, that would just be the best thing ever, wouldn't it? So fingers crossed we do get that at the end of this season. But yeah, he was fantastic. I mean, I've just referenced him there as the man of the match. There are a couple of other shout outs as well for that. Of course, Emi Buendia coming on at half time and got himself a goal, got himself an assist, albeit not the most amazing assist in the world. John McGinn kind of made that goal himself, but he'll still get the assist registered and a goal. I was really pleased to see him score. I think after Watkins and Rodgers, because I want them to get back to form, we know that that's where the main source of goals is going to come from. Emi Buendia is probably the man I would have picked to score. I just think he deserves it. I think, he's kind of been cast aside since his injury, hasn't he? Villa have looked to ship him out on a few occasions. I think they would have heavily considered selling him this summer if the right offer came in. But he's really worked and give everything he can to resurrect his career at Villa Park, and he went a long way to doing that yesterday. I'm not saying, he's going to go on now, he's going to be our main man or anything like that, but he's shown that he's more than capable of being a strong option, and yesterday he was brilliant and got himself his goal as well. And like I say, it was well deserved, and I'm really pleased to see him get a goal, and hopefully that will build him confidence, like we saw the confidence flow through Villa. Hopefully that will be the same for Emi Buendia, and more to come from him as well. But he is arguably one of the man of the match as well. Definitely a contender. Again, if you go off the FOTMob ratings or those kind of things, if you're a fan of that, I'm sure he took or did take the highest rating. Of course, getting a goal assist, that's always going to set you apart, isn't it? But Yeah, so McGinn, Buendia. I think quite a lot of Villa fans are giving him his flowers, and rightly so. Is Matty Cash? He was outstanding again yesterday, and arguably been Villa's best player this season. Although the bar hasn't been incredibly high up until this week. Yeah, really good, really solid. I mean, I've always been one to defend Matty Cash. I think he's took a lot of stick over the years. He has been scapegoated. Look, we'll all say we need competition there, or, do we need an upgrade? Potentially. I think with competition, yes. But he's been brilliant. He's been consistent this season, and hopefully that's a sign of what's to come, and he can continue this good reign of form. I've been really, really impressed with him, and like I say, I'm pleased for him because he has been a scapegoat and got some unfair criticism over the years at Villa. Considering what we've achieved in a short space of time, and he's been a crucial part of that, really. And people go on like, he's useless, which is just not fair at all. He's a very good professional and a very good player, and I'm glad to see him getting some flowers from the Villa fans finally. But yeah, like I say, Villa just blew Fulham away, didn't they, at the start of that second half with the 2 goals in 2 minutes. I think, like Villa tweeted, like London buses, you wait for a goal all season, and you get 2 in 2 minutes, and almost the same with the wins, isn't it? You wait for wins all season, and you get 2 in a matter of days. So a really crucial week for Villa, like I say, a really, really crucial week. I felt we had to win these 2 games, and we have. It's not over yet. We need to go and beat Burnley next Sunday as well, and that will really, you'd start to look at then Villa's season is starting to get back on track. We're probably going to have to get something out of the 3 difficult looking fixtures that are to come after the international break, which is Tottenham, Man City and Liverpool, I think, coming up. So, I mean, we saw Wolves go and get something at Tottenham at the weekend, so Villa are more than capable of doing so, especially if we can get anywhere near back to our best. There's certainly points in that game for us. And obviously Feyenoord is to come on Thursday. Again, you're not going to look at that and say that's a must-win game, or we have to win that game. If Villa go and get a point there, it's probably a decent result. They've started their season very strongly, haven't they? I think we're top, or still top of Eredivisie. Again, I'd back Villa. If Villa play to their best, they'll go and beat Feyenoord, but I'm not expecting an easy game. We know Villa aren't always the best away. We've seen that in Europe as well. We've gone and had stinkers away. Equally, we've had good performances as well. You think of Leipzig last season, but then you also think, on the other hand, Monaco, games like that where we just didn't turn up. So hopefully we can continue this momentum and take it in to Thursday in the Europa League. I'm really looking forward to watching that game. I'd love to have gone to it. I'm sure maybe some of you watching this are going to that game as well, back to Rotterdam to see where Villa lifted the European Cup and conquered Europe in '82. Be a great place to go and see Villa play again. And fingers crossed we can get a result. But yeah, I'm really pleased with yesterday. Again, just thinking who else was impressive. Obviously, we've got to talk about Tyrone Mings. He went off injured, didn't he? He looked quite distressed when he went off. I saw the images of him after the game. I saw the images that were during the game when he was sat on the bench. I saw them after, and he sat there with his head in his hands. Doesn't look good. I mean, looked pretty innocuous at the time. I mean, he did play on a bit, didn't he? He looked like he'd picked something up, but then he carried on. So I don't know how bad it is. Is it his knee, a recurring knee injury again? Is it hamstring? I'm not sure. I'm sure we'll get some sort of update about that in the coming days. But he went off for Pau Torres. And look, I'm a big Tyrone Mings fan. I was calling for Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa to be the starting partnership. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but I did feel, and I did say it in the pre-game, that this was a game for Pau Torres to start. And him coming on, I think he's shown that. I think he was impressive. He's looking a little bit more like his old self again. Again, I think Fulham at home suited him. I do think he should have started. And I think Villa probably don't have much choice now because Tyrone Mings looks like he might be set for a spell on the sidelines. But I think Pau Torres has probably won his shirt back, particularly for the next few games, irregardless of whether Mings is fit or not. It was a bit of a surprising lineup, actually, just looking at it again. I mean, Gesson, he's persisting with Gesson, isn't he? And I thought he was better again yesterday. I think he's had a good week. We're seeing his attributes starting to come through. He works hard defensively, doesn't he? He does put a shift in, and I think he just needs a goal or an assist maybe to just get him firing, and then hopefully they start to flow and his end product starts to just be a little bit quicker and start to produce more from that. But yeah, I'm impressed with him. He's getting better, isn't he? Like I say, we all keep saying he's raw, and I think he just will get better with time. Luca Dean came back in, which I think was expected. We saw him come on towards the end of the Bologna game that Maatsen started. I think that was to just tick him over, keep him going. And I felt when he came on, of course, he was probably going to start on the Sunday. I'd like to have seen Maatsen again. Luca Dean was fine yesterday. You always know what you're going to get with Luca Dean. You're always going to get a pretty solid performance. Model professional, isn't he? He's been a great servant to Villa over the last few seasons. But I'd like to see more of Ian Maatsen. I'd like to see more of that link up between him and Sancho on that left-hand side. But there was no minutes for Jadon Sancho yesterday, which was a little bit of a surprise for me. I'd like to have seen him have some form of impact. Obviously, Kamara sat this one out. He came on in the second half. Lamar Bogard stepped in well, didn't he? Particularly in the second half. I think first half, things were passing him by a little bit. Fulham players were getting past him too easily. But second half, he did stand up and he played really well, as did the team as a whole. But Kamara coming on, you can see the quality Boubacar Kamara has. He's just top quality player. I was calling for him to come on at half time. Obviously, we know Kamara's not been dropped. He only has just come back from injury, hasn't he? And he's played a lot of games in that time. So I think it's just a case of managing his minutes again with a game on Thursday coming up. So Bogard stepped in for this one, and considering the injuries Villa have had in midfield, we've coped pretty well, haven't we? Obviously with Onana, Barkley, Tielemans have all been out. Villa have coped well. I think McGinn, we all know McGinn is just better centrally. I think he has to stay there. I mean, the impact he's having at the minute as well. He has to stay in that central position. He has much more of an impact and much more of a goal threat as well. Seeing him out wide, he hasn't got the pace really to be playing out wide, so much better in that position. So Villa have been stacked in that department, and they've needed to be because of the injuries we've had. But I was really impressed with Bogard and McGinn, particularly yesterday, and then Kamara coming on. We just know what we're going to get with Boubacar Kamara, arguably Villa's best player, isn't he? Most important player. Harvey Elliott got a start, didn't he, against his former club, Fulham. I think he came through the ranks at Fulham. I believe they were booing him yesterday, weren't they? He didn't really get the opportunity to shut them up. And he was dragged off at half time. I feel like Emery's being a little bit harsh on him, isn't he? He called him out a little bit, didn't he, with the passing it too quickly comment after the Sunderland game, which Harvey Elliott said, didn't faze him. He understands, which is, of course, he's going to say. I'm sure. I'm sure he's being honest there as well. But I was pleased to see him start. I wanted to see more of Harvey Elliott. Like Sancho, I want to see more of both of them. I don't think he particularly played badly at all, but he was pulled off at half time, and we know Unai Emery is very particular, especially with new signings, which is probably why I've been surprised to see Gesson get so much game time. He usually bleeds people in very slowly, wants them to get up to speed and wants them to do exactly as he sees right, and Elliott probably isn't quite doing that for Emery. We saw it with Rodgers when he first came in, didn't he? I think there was one occasion against Luton, was it, where he came off and he came on and then he was subbed back off later on in the game. Despite us Villa fans, we watched the game and thought he played really well, and obviously Emery sees things we don't see. So ultimately it paid off. I mean, obviously Buendia came on, he got his goal, got an assist straight away and put in a great performance. So Emery's substitutions were justified, and he's had a few critics over the week, but we can't doubt a manager of Unai Emery's credibility, can we? I mean, we've just got to put full faith into him that he'll turn this round, and it's been a very good week and a very good start to doing so. Other subs that came on, Victor Lindelof, again, came on in midfield, didn't he? I don't think we was expecting to see Victor Lindelof coming as a midfielder, but having to fill in at the minute, only briefly for the last few minutes of the game, so the game was pretty much done by then, wasn't it? Donyell Marlon, again, didn't really get much opportunity to shine, not much come his way in those final few minutes when he came on. But yeah, it was a good performance from Villa and kept Fulham pretty quiet in that second half. I recall that block from Ezri Konsa off the line. I think it was a Martinez error. He didn't really have any saves to make yesterday, did he, Emi Martinez? But yeah, Ezri Konsa did fantastic to clear that one off the line. Unbelievable bit of defending from him. And yeah, Villa aren't conceding too many goals, are they? Which is, again, a good positive. And all of a sudden now we're unbeaten in 5, I believe. Again, I don't really like to go on about that too much. We did lose to Brentford, whether it was on penalties or not. But in 90 minutes, we didn't. I think we played okay in that game. Probably should have won it in 90 minutes. But the form is ever so slowly just getting better, isn't it? And Villa are looking like a stronger outfit week by week. And hopefully this is the turning point this week. And like I say, I've said a couple of times already so far, it was a huge week for us. I mean, Fulham edged the stats, if you want to say that, 52% of the ball. Funnily enough, the last couple of games where Villa haven't dominated the ball, we've won. They had 11 shots to our 9, 4 shots on target each. Like I said, I don't really recall Martinez pulling off any worldies. The best stop of the day I recall was the Ezri Konsa block off the line. And yeah, Villa were well worthy of that victory. I know that there was the talking points with the penalties that just weren't penalties for me, and but Villa fully deserved that victory, and I thought it was pretty comfortable, a comfortable afternoon in the end, particularly in that second half. Fulham, obviously they lost Raul Jimenez quite early on, didn't they? Adama come on, he had his usual stinker when he seems to play us. He's got no end product. We've seen it over the years, haven't we? He's not great, and they brought that Kevin on as well, didn't they? He didn't really do much either. I think he was their big signing over the summer. I don't think he was fully fit, but again, kept him relatively quiet. So it was a huge win for Villa and a huge day really. And yeah, now it's looking ahead to Thursday. Villa up to the dizzy heights of 16th in the table now, and looking at some of those other results, you know, there's teams around us like Newcastle you wouldn't have expected to only be on 6 points now as well. They'll be a direct competitor, or we would have thought they'd be a direct competitor this season. They're only on 6 points alongside us. They're only a goal better off. I mean, they chucked it away against Arsenal yesterday, 2 late goals. They'll be gutted about that. They've already done that this season when they played Liverpool at home as well. They took that one away late on. So they'll think they're a bit short of where they should be. Forest currently on 5 points as well. They lost at home to Sunderland, didn't they? They don't look like they're going to be as strong as they were last season either, particularly now Nuno has moved on. Man United, they're terrible. We know that. I'd expect Villa to start breezing past them pretty soon. And but yeah, I mean, Crystal Palace are flying on the other hand, aren't they? Beat Liverpool, Sunderland flying, Bournemouth doing pretty well too, up in 6th. Chelsea in 8th on 8 points. You know, that's only 2 better off than us. So, you know, a week or so ago we were thinking our season's in the gutter, but it's not. It's early days. We all knew that. If we were talking sensibly, we all know it's a long old season, 38 games. There was plenty of time to turn it around, and Villa have started to do so. I'm not saying we have done so with 1 win at home to Fulham, but it's a good start, and hopefully that carries on now. Next week's game against Burnley, similar sort of game, not as strong as Fulham, you wouldn't believe, but Fulham at Villa Park are generally terrible. So I'd probably expect a tougher game from Burnley next week, to be honest, but need 3 points there and a game to look forward to on Thursday. So I think that's pretty much everything covered from yesterday. Like I say, as always, guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts on the game. Did you go to Villa Park? What did you think? You're looking forward to the game against Feyenoord on Thursday. If you're going, let me know as well. What would you change? Would you mix anything up for that game? And then on to Sunday after that, isn't it? So another big week before the international break, and things are finally looking on the up. So we'll end it with a big up the Villa.